here we are ready to talk about organizational pattern. And so organizational pattern is kind of great because you do not have to come up with the structure for the speech. All right. So with persuasive speaking, there are several established organizational patterns that help you make your point to your audience depending on what you want to get from the audience or what you want the audience to do. All right. Now, you need to pick one of these organizational patterns, and then what you'll do is you'll just follow the outline of each pattern. So let's get started. So the first two patterns I want to talk about are the two that are used the most often. One of them is called problem solution pattern, and the other one is called Monroe's motivated sequence. Now, problem solution pattern is very straightforward. You have an introduction, you establish a problem with data proving that it's a problem. You talk about how we got here, how do we get to this problem, and the data that demonstrates that, and then you offer a solution and the data that proves why this solution is the best one. Okay, and that's it. And then you have a conclusion. So you use problem solution under these circumstances. Are you talking about a topic that either one, people don't know that it's a problem, and so you're introducing to them that it's a problem, or two, they realize it's a problem, but they don't know what it has to do with them. All right, those are the criteria for choosing problem solution. All right, pretty simple. And there's a section in the book on persuasive speaking, and it's very clear how they break down the organizational patterns. So that's a great resource to sort of double up your information when it comes to the organizational patterns and when you're deciding what to choose. All right, so problem solution. So the next one I want to talk about is called Monroe's motivated sequence. And this one has a little bit of bling on it, okay? This is more of a storytelling organizational pattern. Now, of course, like I said, every speech tells a story, but this one is specifically geared towards a topic where you want people to take action, okay? So the very first thing you do is an attention grabber. Now, you can always use an attention grabber in any of the organizational patterns, but it's absolutely required in Monroe's motivated sequence. So you know how you have to have a cover page for this assignment? If you know, then great. If you don't know, go look at the requirements for the assignment so you know what I'm talking about. But this one, you have to have an attention grabber, a big stat, a quote. You sing a song. You start off running through the smoke like at an NBA game. No, probably you can't do that. But something that really sets the tone for the speech, okay? So you guys are really creative, so come up with something really good to grab our attention. And then you're going to talk about the need. And need is just another word for problem. Why do they call it need instead of problem? I have no idea, but they do. So you're going to establish the problem with data, and then you're going to offer a solution, and the solution has data, and then you're going to do a visualization piece. Okay, this is very specific storytelling part. You are going to have us imagine what our life would be if we did this. Think how great it would be if we solved this issue. Think how awful it's going to be if we don't. Right? You want your audience to feel an emotional connection to what you're talking about, and the visualization piece is to allow your audience to see themselves as part of the solution, or see themselves as the problem, or see what happens if they don't get fired up and go do something about it. Right? That's what this organizational pattern is all about. And then there's a call to action. What do you want us to do? You want us to meet at your house and make posters? So we're going to go downtown and picket. You want us to register to vote? You want us to sign up to donate blood? You want us to give up meatless Mondays? What is it you want us to do? Be very specific. So if you're asking us to go donate blood, you better tell me exactly where to go, who to call, what to do, how to sign up. People want to know. You've got a solution, so tell me exactly how you want me to behave now that I have this information. So there's a sense of urgency with Monroe's motivated sequence, okay? We got to take action, man. We got to make this happen right now. All right, so you can see how very different these two are. And I start with them because these two are the most popular and I think in some ways the most logical of the organizational patterns. All right? Okay, so let's just review for 1 second. Problem solution. Here's the problem. Here's the data that supports why it's a problem. This is how we got here. This is the data that supports that. Here's the solution. Here's the data. The first one, you use it when somebody doesn't even know that it's a problem. Or number two, you use it when somebody knows it's a problem, but doesn't know what it has to do with them. All right, so you got to personalize it for them. All right, Monroe's motivated sequence, attention grabber. Here's the need, which equals problem, and the data that supports that. Here's the solution, and the data that supports that. Here's the visualization piece. Put your audience in the solution or put them in the problem. All right, is my life going to get better? Is my life going to get worse? You got to tell me. And then a call to action, like we're going to go fight this problem, or we're going to stop doing this thing, or we got to pay attention to this. We got to take action. All right, so call to action. All of those pieces are important for each of those organizational patterns. Okay, those are the first two. All right, the next one I want to talk to you about are comparative advantage and refutation pattern. So comparative advantage indicates what? Exactly. We're looking at two things and we're comparing them. So with comparative advantage, you're not fighting about the problem. We're all deciding that it's the same problem. All right, so if it's parking at the school or global warming or whatever it is we've decided, we're going to assume that we all believe or agree that there's some level of problem. What we don't agree on is the solution. Okay, this happens all the time. All right, so I'll give you an example in my neighborhood. We have a couple intersections that were always kind of nuts. People were driving too fast, and you felt like you were taking your life in your own hand just when you were walking your dog across the street. So let's imagine that everyone in the neighborhood agrees that those intersections are terrible. But what if I thought there should be a four-way stop, but my neighbor thinks that there should be a traffic light instead? So we agree that the intersection sucks, right? What we don't agree on is the solution. All right, so it's your job to compare the solutions. So you can compare as many solutions as you want, but you have to have at least two if you're going to do this one. So if you look out in the world and say, okay, immigration is an issue. All right, we want to have a fair, ethical, and effective immigration reform. You think this way and somebody else thinks this way. All right, you want to compare why your solution is just better than the other one. That's it. With proof. All right, so you want to compare them with data. So it doesn't have to establish the problem. All right, but you have to have at least two. You are comparing solutions and you're just advocating that yours is better than Stan's. That's it. Okay? The fourth one is called refutation pattern. And refutation pattern is basically that you're debunking someone else's solution. You're talking about why their solution isn't working or won't work or is too expensive, etc. All right? So you might offer a solution, maybe, but your main goal is to refute someone's solution. So let's say that I was running for senator, all right? And you are my people. You are on my staff, and you're helping me to develop my platform. And then we did all the research and we wrote my speeches and we got it all together. And we get in a room and I give the platform and talk about why I'm advocating for whatever I'm advocating for. Your job would be to completely rip it apart. This is a good thing. I don't want to go out there on the campaign trail and not be prepared. The idea is that you're helping someone see the flaws in their logic. We don't want to vote on something that's completely a half-brained idea or hasn't been thought through, or we haven't maybe examined what could go wrong. I mean, something could go wrong, right? How are we gonna adjust to that if what we predicted doesn't actually happen? And that's what refutation pattern is all about. Refutation pattern is the one I get the least. I get the least. Okay? Monroe's motivated sequence and problem solution are the two I get the most. And then every once in a while I get some comparative advantage. All right? Any of them are great. I love them all. They're so interesting. What you need to decide is based on your topic, which of these outlines, which pattern supports your argument the best. Are you going to ask us to go do something? Is there a sense of urgency? Then you're going to want to choose Monroe's motivated sequence. Do you think it's a problem that we aren't taking seriously, or we don't know what it has to do with us? All right, problem solution gets the call. All right, and then refutation pattern and comparative advantage are when you're really swimming around in the solutions and you're looking at why these solutions either aren't good enough or aren't as good as yours, or they really don't work at all. Or you just want to point out the flaws. Then you would use refutation pattern. Okay, so those are the four. Oh, not this. Those are the four organizational patterns, and each one of you is going to pick one of them if you're doing an individual speech, and that is what you're going to use to structure your speech. Okay, so I have another chart that's in the module so that you can see what the outlines look like. Okay, so take a look at those, choose one, and then go for it. All right, bye.